Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, Coin Hunters, History Buffs, and Treasure Seekers. If you're watching this video right now, you're probably someone who knows that the change in your pocket might be worth more than just face value. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a coin that most people wouldn't even glance at twice, yet for collectors in the know, it's one of the most thrilling discoveries you could ever make. We're talking about the 1965 Washington Quarter. A coin so common, so ordinary looking, that millions of people spend it every day without ever realizing the fortune that could be staring them right in the face. Now, before you shrug this off and move on to the next shiny dime or golden dollar, hang tight, because by the time we're done, you might find yourself flipping through every quarter you own with a magnifying glass and a whole lot of excitement. Let's rewind the clock to the mid-1960s. The United States was going through major changes. The civil rights movement was in full swing. The Beatles were invading American radios. The Vietnam War was escalating. And in 1965, the U.S. Mint made one of the most important changes to coinage in modern history. That was the year the Mint stopped using silver in quarters. For decades, Washington quarters had been made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But with the rising cost of silver and growing concerns about hoarding, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1965, which changed the composition of quarters to a copper-nickel-clad sandwich, essentially a copper core with a thin layer of nickel on the outside. So starting in 1965, the days of silver quarters were over. Or, were they? Here's where the story gets fascinating. While the Mint officially stopped making silver quarters after 1964, there are rumors, and evidence, of accidental silver planchets being used in 1965. That's right. Some quarters dated 1965 were mistakenly struck on leftover silver blanks meant for the previous year. These rare transitional error coins are like ghosts, hard to find, often mistaken for ordinary quarters, but worth a small fortune to collectors. Let's talk about the design of the Washington Quarter, because it has a story of its own. On the obverse, you'll find the proud and iconic profile of George Washington, America's first president. This design was introduced in 1932, on the bicentennial of Washington's birth. Created by sculptor John Flanagan, it has remained largely unchanged for decades. Above Washington's head is the word Liberty. Below his chin, you'll see the motto, "In God We Trust." And of course, to the lower right, the all-important date, 1965. Now here's something many people overlook: 1,965 quarters have no mint mark. Why? Because during this time, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from all coins in an effort to discourage hoarding and speculation. So, if your 1965 quarter doesn't have a D or S on it, don't worry, that's perfectly normal. But if you do find one with a mint mark, well, we'll talk about that later, because it could mean something truly special. Let's flip the coin. On the reverse side, you'll see a bold and elegant eagle with outstretched wings, perched atop a bundle of arrows, surrounded by two olive branches. Above the eagle is the phrase, "United States of America," and below it, "Quarter Dollar." Between those two is the powerful motto, "E pluribus unum," which means, out of many, one. Now, here's where the detective work begins. Most 1965 quarters you'll find today are made of the new copper-nickel-clad metal. You can usually tell because the edge of the coin shows a visible copper line. But what if you find a 1965 quarter with a solid silver edge, no copper stripe at all? That's when things get interesting, because you just might be holding one of the legendary 1965 silver transitional error quarters. These coins are extraordinarily rare. Only a few have been verified by top grading services like PCGS and NGC. They were struck at a time when the Mint was switching over materials and a few silver blanks accidentally made their way into the presses. These coins were never meant to exist. But they do. And that makes them incredibly valuable. But how can you tell if your quarter is one of these ultra-rare pieces? Here are a few tips. Check the edge. A silver coin will have a completely silver-colored edge, no copper showing. Weigh the coin. A regular clad 1965 quarter weighs 5.67 grams, while a silver quarter weighs 6.25 grams. That tiny difference can make a huge difference. Sound test. Silver coins have a distinctive ring when dropped. It's not the most scientific method, but longtime collectors swear by it. Professional grading. If you suspect your coin might be special, don't clean it or damage it. Send it to a professional grading company for authentication and appraisal. And then there's condition. Even a rare coin can lose value if it's heavily worn. But a rare error coin in mint condition, known as mint state, or MS, can skyrocket in value. Coins graded MS 65 or higher are considered high-grade collectibles, especially when paired with a dramatic mint error or composition anomaly. There are even rumors of proof coins from 1965 that escaped into circulation, struck with mirror-like finishes on special planchets. These are even more mysterious and sought after. So what does all of this mean? It means that a simple-looking 1965 Washington quarter, something most people would spend without a second thought, could actually be an incredibly rare error coin that slipped through the cracks of history and now holds a value beyond imagination. You've waited patiently. And now it's time for the big reveal. Point 1. Verified 1965 Washington quarter, struck on a silver planchet, authenticated and graded by experts as a top condition mint error, sold at auction for a life-changing total of $133,000, yes. $133,000 for a single quarter. A coin you could find in circulation today. A coin that might be hiding at the bottom of a coin jar, or stuck between your car seats, or resting quietly in a dusty drawer. That's the magic of coin collecting. It turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. So now the question is, what's in your pocket? Today, we're going to talk about a coin that many people overlook, a coin that millions of Americans have spent without giving it a second glance. But what if I told you that one specific version of this coin, just one, ended up selling for more than most people make in a couple of years? Get ready, because today we're going deep into the mystery and magic of the 1974 Washington quarter. A 25-cent piece that could be worth a life-changing amount, if you know what to look for. So grab your coin jar, check your change drawer, and let's dig into why this simple little coin could be hiding serious value. Let's start by setting the stage. The year was 1974, a time of political unrest and cultural transformation in the United States. Richard Nixon was president, at least for most of the year. The Watergate scandal was unfolding, gas prices were rising, and inflation was starting to squeeze American families. Amid all that chaos, the U.S. Mint was still doing its job, pumping out millions of coins to keep the economy moving. Among those coins, the 1974 Washington quarter. Now, the Washington quarter was first introduced back in 1932, to honor the 200th birthday of our nation's first president. The design by John Flanagan featured a strong, classic profile of George Washington on the obverse, or front side, of the coin. And that same image continued into the 1970s. If you look closely at a 1974 quarter, you'll see Washington's familiar profile facing left. Arched above his head is the word Liberty, and just beneath his chin are the words, In God We Trust. Over on the lower right, you'll spot the year, 1974, clear and simple. And right next to that, you may see a tiny letter, either a D or none at all. Let's talk about that mint mark for a moment. A D means your coin was minted in Denver. If there's no mint mark, it came from Philadelphia. San Francisco only minted proof coins in 1974, so if you come across one with an S, it was likely part of a collector's set and should never have been in regular circulation. Now, let's flip the coin and admire the reverse side. There, you'll see a powerful image of a heraldic eagle. Its wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath it, a striking symbol of both strength and peace. Above the eagle is the inscription, United States of America, and below it reads, $quarter. Just between the wings is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. Simple. Elegant. Classic, but here's where things get fascinating. Most 1974 quarters are made of copper-nickel clad, a standard that had been used since 1965 when the U.S. government removed silver from most circulating coins. These clad coins have a copper core and a thin nickel layer over the top, which you can often see just by checking the coin's edge, where you'll typically spot that distinctive copper-colored stripe. However, sometimes, something very unusual happens at the mint. Errors. Mistakes. Oversights. And those are the coins that send collectors into a frenzy. You see, every once in a while, a coin is struck on the wrong metal planchet, or is minted with a doubling error, or even features a design that never should have been released. And believe it or not, there are rare examples of 1974 quarters struck on silver planchets, foreign coin blanks, or with die errors that make them dramatically more valuable than your average quarter. Let's break down some of the known valuable errors and anomalies that could occur on a 1974 Washington quarter. Wrong planchet errors. Imagine a 1974 quarter that was accidentally struck on a silver planchet left over from a previous minting run. That means the coin would weigh slightly more, closer to 6.25 grams, as opposed to the usual 5.67 grams. If it lacks the copper edge and has that signature silver ring when dropped, that's a rare, premium piece. Double die errors. This happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between strikes, causing the design elements, especially the lettering and date, to appear doubled. This is one of the most sought-after types of mint errors among collectors. Off-center strikes. These coins were not struck perfectly in the center, leaving part of the design missing or skewed to one side. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more desirable the coin becomes, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. Clipped planchets. If the coin blank wasn't cut properly, part of the metal might be missing, creating a curved clip on the edge of the coin. These are also rare and collectible, particularly in uncirculated condition, and don't forget, the condition of the coin is everything. A 1974 quarter with heavy wear and tear might still be fun to look at, but the real value comes when a coin is preserved in mint state condition, that is, virtually untouched, shiny, and sharp in detail. Coins that have been professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC are assigned a number between 1 and 70. The higher the number, the better the condition. Coins graded MS-65 or higher are considered investment grade, and if your 1974 quarter is both rare and in mint state, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Now here comes the part you've all been waiting for. Most 1974 quarters will only ever be worth face value. Maybe $1 or $2 in excellent condition. But there are a few known examples, rare, well-preserved, and struck on the wrong metal or with an extraordinary error, that have sold at auction for an amount that will blow your mind. And one of those coins, graded and authenticated by experts, with a clear minting anomaly and preserved in nearly perfect condition, was sold at a record-breaking price. That single 1974 Washington quarter sold for a jaw-dropping total of $118,000, yes, you heard that correctly. $118,000 for a coin that most people would toss in a parking meter without a second thought. So what does that mean for you? It means it's time to start paying closer attention. Every quarter you come across could be an opportunity. Check the edges. Weigh the coins if something feels off. Look for doubling, misalignments, missing letters, strange colors, or anything out of the ordinary. That change in your pocket could be carrying a secret fortune. Today's video is for you, because right now, we're diving into a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about, the 1994 Washington quarter dollar. Yep, just your average quarter at first glance. Or is it? Today, we're peeling back the layers of this unassuming 25-cent piece and uncovering the fascinating secrets that could make your 1994 quarter worth thousands. From mint mark mysteries to hidden minting errors and collector gold mines, by the end of this video, you'll be checking every quarter you touch with new eyes. Let's jump in. The Washington quarter is one of the most iconic coins in American history. First minted in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, this coin has become a staple in American pockets, cash registers, and collections. The design on the front, the obverse, has largely stayed the same, preserving a classic look that feels both historical and familiar. Now let's zoom in on the 1994 edition. What was happening in the US that year? 1994 was a year of transformation. The internet was just starting to reach the public. The economy was booming. Bill Clinton was president. And while all of that was happening, the US Mint was busy producing coins to keep up with growing demand. Millions of quarters were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. So what makes this particular year, and this coin, so interesting? Let's start with the design details. On the obverse, you'll find the powerful and dignified profile of George Washington, originally sculpted by John Flanagan. He's facing left, his expression calm but strong. Above him arches the word Liberty. Just beneath his chin, you'll see the phrase, "In God We Trust." And to the right, the date, 1994. But the most important detail to look for on this side? The mint mark, a small letter that can be found just to the right of the bow on Washington's ponytail. A D means the coin was minted in Denver. A P indicates Philadelphia. An S stands for San Francisco, but in this case, only proof coins were made there. The mint mark isn't just a location tag, it can have a huge impact on the value of the coin, especially when paired with rare minting errors or low production varieties. Let's flip the coin over to the reverse, where we find the bold image of the heraldic eagle, wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches underneath. This design represents strength in defense and peace in intention. The words United States of America and $quarter surround the eagle, with the motto E Pluribus Unum floating just above its head. Now, on the surface, the 1994 quarter looks like any other modern coin. Millions were made. It was widely circulated. Most are worth 25 cents, maybe a bit more if in great condition, but that's where the story takes a turn. You see, not all 1994 quarters were created equal. Some were struck under rare circumstances. Others feature minting errors that make them one of a kind. And some, very few, have sold at auctions for jaw-dropping amounts. Let's break down the types of 1994 quarters that could be worth serious money. Double die errors. This is one of the most popular errors in coin collecting. A double die happens when the coin die shifts slightly between impressions, resulting in doubled images or lettering. If you see two slightly offset versions of "In God We Trust" or the date, you may have something truly rare on your hands. Off-center strike. Sometimes, the coin blank isn't properly aligned when struck, causing a portion of the design to be missing or skewed. The more off-center it is, and if the date and mint mark are still visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. Clipped planchets. This error occurs when a piece of the metal blank is accidentally clipped before the coin is struck, creating a curved or missing section on the edge of the coin. Collectors love these because they're visually distinct and undeniably unique. Wrong planchet errors. One of the rarest types of mistakes is when a quarter is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a different coin, like a nickel or a foreign denomination. These coins can be lighter or smaller than normal, and they often carry huge collector premiums. Proof errors and deep cameos. Coins minted in San Francisco were meant for collector sets and weren't supposed to enter general circulation. But sometimes, a few proof coins escape the mint. If you find a 1994 S-proof coin in circulation, or better yet, a deep cameo version in flawless condition, you're holding something special. Now, what about coin grading? This is where the condition of your coin becomes everything. Coins are graded from 1 to 70, with MS 60 to MS 70 being considered mint state, meaning the coin has never been used in commerce. The closer a coin is to MS 70, the more valuable it becomes. Let's say you have a 1994 quarter with a mint error and it's graded MS 66 or higher, you could be looking at a 5-figure coin. Combine rarity, an unusual minting error, and pristine condition, and you've got yourself a collector's dream. But how does one coin become more valuable than all the rest? In numismatics, rarity, demand, condition, and error types all mix to create the final value. Most 1994 quarters will be worth face value. A few might fetch $1 to $5 if they're in great shape. But then, there are the ultra-rare examples, and there is one particular 1994 quarter, struck with a significant minting error, preserved in high mint state condition, and authenticated by a leading grading company, that made headlines in the collector community. It didn't just turn heads, it turned into a record-breaking sale. That single coin stunned everyone when it sold at public auction for a breathtaking total of $89,000, yes. You heard that right. $89,000 for a coin that was supposed to be worth just 25 cents, let that sink in. So the next time you find a 1994 quarter in your pocket, don't be so quick to spend it. Examine the mint mark. Check for doubling. Look for missing or unusual details. Weigh it. Compare it. And if it seems unusual, get it professionally graded. That small moment of curiosity might just unlock a treasure you never expected. Today, we're diving deep into the world of one of America's most recognizable coins, the Washington Quarter Dollar from 1986. On the surface, it might seem like just another quarter from the 80s, but as always with coins, there's often more than meets the eye. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone curious about the potential hidden value in your pocket change, stick around because what we're about to explore could change how you look at those everyday coins forever. Let's start by understanding the historical context of the 1986 Washington Quarter. This coin comes from a time when the United States was navigating an era of economic transformation and technological growth. The 1980s was a decade marked by bold fashion, rapid innovation, and a surge in national pride. The coins minted during this time reflect a continuation of classic American designs, while quietly holding secrets that have made some specimens worth thousands of dollars today. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. The design, crafted by John Flanagan, became iconic and has endured with minor changes for nearly a century. By 1986, the quarter had firmly cemented itself as a staple in American currency, with millions produced each year by various mints across the country. Take a close look at a 1986 quarter. On the front, or obverse, you'll see the familiar portrait of George Washington, stoic and proud, facing left. Above his head, the word Liberty arches proudly, and just below his chin you'll find the motto, "In God We Trust." On the right side of the coin, you'll notice the date, 1986, clearly stamped, but here's where it gets interesting. Next to the date, you might see a tiny letter. This is the mint mark, a small detail that can significantly impact the coin's value. In 1986, the Washington quarters were minted primarily in 3 locations. Philadelphia. These coins have no mint mark at all, so if your 1986 quarter doesn't show a letter near the date, it's from Philadelphia. Denver. Coins from the Denver Mint proudly display a D mint mark. San Francisco. Known for producing proof coins, these have an S mint mark. Each mint produced millions of quarters in 1986, but not all coins are created equal. When it comes to value, rarity, condition, and errors can skyrocket a coin's worth beyond its 25-cent face value. Let's talk design again before we flip it over. The reverse side of the quarter features the classic heraldic eagle with wings spread wide, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, and an olive branch beneath, symbolizing America's readiness for war and desire for peace. The words United States of America and Quarter Dollar encircle the eagle, with the motto E Pluribus Unum nestled between the wings. The overall look is iconic, but in 1986, subtle differences in how coins were struck or errors during the minting process created collectible rarities. So, what makes the 1986 Washington Quarter truly fascinating to collectors? First, condition is everything. A quarter fresh from the mint, showing crisp details and a brilliant shine, will always be worth more than one worn down from decades of circulation. The grading scale ranges from poor, P1, to perfect mint state, MS 70. Coins graded MS 65 and above are highly sought after by collectors, especially if they come with unique attributes. Next, there are the error coins, coins that weren't supposed to happen but slipped through the minting process. For 1986 quarters, some known errors include double die errors, where letters or numbers appear doubled due to a misalignment of the die during stamping. This creates an eye-catching effect, especially on the date or lettering. Off-center strikes, coins struck off the middle of the planchet, resulting in part of the design missing or pushed to one side. These can vary from minor off-centers to dramatic errors where half the coin's design is missing. Clipped planchets, when the blank metal disc isn't fully cut, leaving a curved clip or missing portion on the edge. Wrong metal planchets, though less common in this year. Any quarter struck on a planchet intended for another coin, like a nickel, could become a major collector's prize. Now here's where the story gets really exciting. Despite millions of quarters minted in 1986, very few specimens with rare errors or pristine condition have surfaced on the market. Collectors and numismatists actively search for these rarities because they combine history, artistry, and scarcity. When a coin exhibits one of these rare characteristics and is graded professionally, the value can multiply exponentially. It's not just about mistakes, either. Limited production runs, variations in metal composition, or even coins saved immediately after minting in perfect condition have pushed some 1986 Washington quarters to impressive prices. To put this into perspective, most 1986 quarters in circulated condition are worth no more than their face value. Even uncirculated ones may only fetch $1 or $2 on the collector market. But the true treasures are those that meet the highest standards of condition and rarity, and here's the kicker: the most extraordinary 1986 Washington quarter ever sold stunned the coin community by fetching an astounding $80,000 at auction. That's right, $80,000, for a coin that started life as just a simple 25-cent piece. Imagine holding one of those rare coins in your hand today. A coin with a fascinating story, a perfect shine, a rare mint mark, or a striking error that sets it apart from the millions that came before it. This is what makes coin collecting so thrilling, the possibility that something ordinary could be extraordinary. So next time you're sorting through your change, don't rush past those quarters from 1986. Give them a closer look. Check for the mint mark. Look for unusual features. And if you spot something that seems off or special, consider having it professionally appraised and graded. That simple quarter in your pocket could be a gateway to a hidden fortune. Thank you so much for watching this deep dive into the 1986 Washington quarter dollar. If you enjoyed this journey through history, design, and hidden value, please like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss out on our treasure hunting adventures. And hey, tell me in the comments if you've ever found a coin that surprised you, or if you're on the lookout for that next big find. Until next time, keep your eyes open, keep collecting, and remember, sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest treasures. Happy hunting! Today, we're diving into the exciting and mysterious world of a coin you've probably held dozens of times, but never thought twice about. We're talking about the 1971 Washington quarter. Yes, that everyday 25-cent piece that could actually be worth thousands. You heard that right. There's a version of this coin that has sold for more than the cost of a luxury car. And the most amazing part? You could have one right now and not even know it. So don't blink, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, how to spot a rare variation, and just how much this unassuming little coin might be worth if you've got the right one. You'll never look at your spare change the same way again. Let's start with a little bit of context. The year was 1971. Richard Nixon was President of the United States. The Vietnam War was still raging. Apollo 14 had just landed on the moon, disco music was heating up, and inflation was starting to take hold. It was a time of great cultural shifts, and like always, the U.S. Mint was quietly churning out coins to fuel the economy. Now, the Washington quarter had already been in production since 1932, originally created to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It proved so popular that it stuck around and became the standard design for decades. On the obverse of the 1971 quarter, you'll see the same proud image of George Washington we've come to know, his face in profile, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. At the top, the word Liberty arches above his head. Just below his chin, the national motto, "In God We Trust," is inscribed. And to the lower right, you'll see the date, 1971. Now, pay attention just above the date. If your coin has a small letter there, either a D or no letter at all, it tells you where that coin was minted. In 1971, D indicates the coin was minted in Denver. If there's no mint mark, it was minted in Philadelphia. There were no quarters struck in San Francisco for regular circulation that year. San Francisco only produced proof coins, special, high-quality coins made for collectors, and here's where things get really interesting. The reverse of the coin features the classic heraldic eagle design. With wings spread wide and a bundle of arrows clutched in its talons, the eagle is a symbol of strength and national pride. Below the eagle, you'll see quarter dollar, and above it, the phrase United States of America. Right in the center, between the eagle and the top of the coin, is E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, one. Now, at first glance, your 1971 quarter might look exactly like every other one you've seen. But remember, when it comes to coin collecting, it's the little things that make a huge difference. Let's talk about what makes the 1971 Washington quarter so valuable to collectors. First, there's the metal content. By 1971, quarters were no longer made from silver. The U.S. had already transitioned to a copper-nickel clad composition, beginning in 1965. That means most 1971 quarters are made of a copper core with a nickel outer layer, but a few silver planchets, blanks that were supposed to be used only for earlier coins or special issues, may have accidentally made their way into the minting process. That means there are a tiny number of 1,971 quarters struck on silver planchets, even though they weren't supposed to exist. How can you tell? Start with the edge of the coin. Regular clad quarters have a distinct copper stripe along the edge. But a silver quarter will appear solid silver all the way through, no copper line. Next, check the weight. A standard copper-nickel 1971 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams, but a silver quarter will weigh around 6.25 grams. That small difference can be your first clue, and if that sounds complicated, don't worry. There are inexpensive coin scales online, and once you weigh a few regular quarters for comparison, spotting something off will be easier than you think. But it's not just silver that excites collectors. There are also minting errors, and the 1971 Washington quarter has its fair share of them. Some examples include double die obverse, where the inscriptions or parts of Washington's profile appear doubled, creating a kind of ghosting effect. Off-center strikes, where the coin is stamped incorrectly, leaving part of the design missing or misaligned. Clipped planchets, where part of the metal blank is missing before the coin is struck, leaving a curved bite out of the edge. Wrong planchet errors, where a quarter is accidentally struck on a dime or penny blank, creating bizarre and valuable hybrids. These kinds of errors are rare. But when they happen on a coin from a transitional year like 1971, that's when you've got something truly valuable. Now let's talk grading. Coins are graded from 1 to 70, and this plays a major role in their value. Most 1971 quarters out there are heavily circulated, scratched, worn, tossed in vending machines and passed through thousands of hands. But if you find a 1971 quarter that is uncirculated, with original luster and minimal wear, its value goes up significantly. If it's graded mint state 65 or higher, and it also happens to be an error coin or a rare silver planchet version, you've officially entered the realm of elite numismatics. So here's the big question. What's the highest amount someone has paid for a 1971 quarter? There's one coin, authenticated, graded, and sold through a major auction house, that made history. It wasn't just in pristine condition, it also had the magic combo of rarity, error, and exceptional preservation. And when the hammer came down at auction, the final sale price was nothing short of jaw-dropping. That single 1971 Washington quarter sold for an incredible $123,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $123,000 for a coin that, on the surface, looks like it's worth just 25 cents. That's the magic of numismatics. That's the thrill of the hunt. You never know when the next rare gem is hiding in plain sight, tucked inside your coin jar, jingling in your cup holder, or forgotten in your wallet. So, what should you do next? Take a look through your change. Pull out those 1971 quarters. Check for that missing copper stripe. Weigh them. Examine the details. And if something seems just a little bit off, don't ignore it. You might just be holding a quarter that's worth more than a house down payment.